In this video, we'll discuss looping structures that are available in MATLAB. We'll go through two basic forms of loops, for and while, and we will have examples for each of them. We'll start with while loop. So the syntax of while loop is while is the keyword, then condition, and then we can have the body of the loop, which can comprise of one or more statements, and then to mark the end of this while loop we use the keyword end. This condition, it can be any expression as well, and the body of the loop will be executed until this condition is true, until the value of this expression is non-zero. As soon as the condition becomes 0 or false, this loop terminates and the control transfers to the next statement that follows this and this end keyword. Let's take an example. Let's create a script. You can invoke the editor window by typing in the command edit. Let me zoom in here. Okay, now at the top I will write what this program is doing, this script is doing. See, when we have to write any comment in MATLAB, the first character on the line should be percentage. So it will basically generate numbers from 1 to 10. The simplest example you can say for while loop. So we have to start from 1. So we will initialize a variable called a loop counter to 1, and then we'll generate these numbers. The condition is that we have to generate it the numbers up to 10. So our condition will be I less than or equal to 10. We have to do something what we will display I. And one important thing to remember here is that we have to update this loop counter, because we have initialized it to 1, and if we don't update this loop counter within the body of loop, then this will become an infinite loop. So to avoid that, what we do is that we have to increment our loop counter I equal to I plus 1, and then to mark of this while loop we use the keyword end. Let us save it, Control and S. Let's name it as while example. Save it. Now let's run it. We can run it here as well as by using this icon run, as well as we can invoke this script from the command window. Let's invoke it from the command window itself this time. So for invoking the script from command window, we just have to type the m file name. M file is named as while example. So our numbers got generated from 1 to 10. This was a very simple example. Now let me again edit the same script. Edit while example, name of our script. If we, for example, keep this condition as 0, we'll see that it still is valid MATLAB code, but the body of the loop will be never executed because the condition is 0. So let us run it now. Let's see what is the output. So that's no output because it didn't enter into the while loop. We're displaying inside the while loop, but the condition is false at the very outset in the start itself. so there's no output from the program. Now let's see other basic form of loop, what we call as for loop. The syntax of the for loop is this. We zoom in here. For index equal to values, then we have the body of the loop, which may comprise of one or more statements, and then keyword end. Well, this value can be one of these. It can be, for example, initial value colon end value. It can be initial value, then step size, and then end value, or it can be a value array. We create a column vector index from subsequent columns of array, value array on each iteration. Let us see an example of this for loop now. So what we'll do is that we will write the same program using for loop, that is generating numbers from 1 to 10. Let's create a separate script for this. You can just click on here, new. So let me write what this program is doing. Generate numbers from 1 to 10 using for loop. So here we have to first write the keyword for, then index, for example I, equal to the initial value. Our initial value is 1. We zoom in here. Our initial value is 1 to end value. Our end value is 10, and then I will display I within the body of the loop, and this is the simplest one. Now let us save and execute it. Control S for sample. Run it. So here we have the numbers got generated from 1 to 10. Now for example, if we want to generate numbers that are odd numbers between 1 and 10, so what we can do is that we can have a step size of 2. When you don't give any step size, by default the step size is 1. If for example we keep the step size as 2, then it should be between initial value and end value. This is the step size. 2 is the step size. So every time, actually what does step size mean? Means that every time the body of loop is executed, the loop counter I index will be incremented by this step size. That means this time it will be incremented every time by not 1 but 2, because our step size is 2. So what will be the numbers generated? First it will display I, then it will increment it by 2, that is it will become now I will become now 3, and so on, 3, 5 and so on. Let us see how it does. Let's run it. So here we have the odd numbers from 1 to 10, 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9. If we want to generate, for example, even numbers from 1 to 10, we have to start from an even number 2, and then the increment is same. Okay, now we have the numbers which are even Let's have another example on for loop. Let's this time compute the factorial of a number. The number we are taking from keyboard. Let's create a separate new script for it. Edit. First, let me write down what the script is doing. This is a good practice to write at the top. Compute factorial of a number entered to keyboard. Let me use a variable n to get the number for which I have to compute the factorial. Input, enter any number, then I will use a variable called fact, for example, and I will initialize it to 1. And then within for loop I have to run the for loop from 1 to n, and I have to compute the factorial by multiplying it with I. Let's save it. Factorial factor real. Okay, we need to display what is the factorial of the number, because otherwise it will compute and there will be no display on the screen. Display, let us use fprintf. The factorial of the number is of the number is percentage %d. Let's go to new line after this, /n, new line. Okay, let's run it now. So enter any number here and say 5. The factorial of number is, okay, we have not written here the what is to be displayed, percentage %d fact. Let's run it again. Enter any number, that's 5. Factorial of the number is 120. Although we have written a script for factorial, but the fact is that MATLAB itself provides a function called factorial itself, which we can use to compute the factorial of a given number.